Michael and Alex.
And this is Sonia.
That's Sonia. What a
Special guest. Sonia, you've shrunk.
He has shrunk. And he's got a tail now, see?
very handsome.
Oh, Sonia, whoa. Private, please.
Oh, now I've seen everything on WebEx.
We thought we'd start things off on a light foot. Oh! Whoa!
No, that was priceless. Nice.
You find that better.
I think Sam's lost the plot in 5 minutes of talking. I don't know why, but it just... Yeah, so Sam, since when have you become a dog? Exactly.
Yeah, Sam, they're asking, when did you become a dog? I think he was born that way, man. He just can't help it. He's such a bastard in general. Thank you, sir.
Oh!
Well, okay.
Shaky.
Hang on. Here comes the real
Here's the real Sanyan, not a mascot.
No, he's the fourth. That's Casper.
Yep.
He's the fourth member of the band.
Oh,
Okay.
Casper.
So he does barking and backing vocals. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Rach has got a dog in her background. Surprise. So if you hear her, that would be what it is.
Dogs are great.
Dogs are fabulous.
See, he agrees.
Oh, Casper's beautiful. Well, that was very impressive. I don't think we're ever going to outdo the opening shot of Forklift Assassins. With
Good boy.
Oh, dear. So you're on Sam and Rach's Next Exit. Obviously, I'm Sam.
And I'm Rachel.
And we've got Alex, Michael, and Sanyan from Forklift Assassins, and a brief cameo, of course, with Casper, the fourth member.
The band's mascot.
I'm not sure if he's in the band anymore.
Casper Assassins? No, it doesn't have the same ring to it, I don't think.
Well, now that you mentioned that, Sam, I am curious. Forklift Assassins. How did we come up with that name?
I'll take this one, gentlemen, if you don't mind, because they don't actually know.
No.
Okay, so the whole story is. Let me get my notes.
That's our job, Michael.
You'll see why. You'll see why in a sec. So, back when we were looking for a name, the band, we were throwing shit around like people do, and at that time, Trump had just become president of the United States. It was in his first year, right? I heard a story, or I read a story about a guy by the name of Gregory Lee Lengang, who had decided that he wanted to assassinate Trump. The way he decided to do it was to drive a forklift into the motorcade of Trump when he was going through his town, attempting to flip Trump's car and then kill him. That was the plan. Unfortunately for him and probably the rest of the world, it didn't quite work out. And what ended up happening was he stole the forklift, drove it towards the motorcade, it got bogged.
No.
And the cops saw him, chased him, caught him, and he went to jail. We cracked up and we're thinking, what's the most ridiculous way to attempt to assassinate someone? There you have it. And Forklift Assassins was born.
That
I kid you not.
I didn't know that, but yeah, clearly if he was going to assassinate someone, a forklift springs to
I
mind.
mean, absolutely right. They're in my head, Rach. It's absolutely right. That's the first thing you think, I'm going to use a forklift to kill someone. Makes perfect sense.
Didn't think to do what JFK, what happened to him, like just get a sniper and shoot him, not a forklift.
But the forklift wasn't the part that was going to kill him. The forklift was meant to tip the car over, then he was going to get in and probably shoot him or whatever. So that wasn't even the killing blow. So this guy had this whole thing set up and he got bombed.
Oh,
I mean,
I think there's a movie in that, isn't there?
I know.
The planning, the masterminding, and then to get bombed.
That's it, right?
How did you three all meet?
You want to take that one?
I responded to a Facebook ad. Yeah. So there was a Facebook ad on Facebook. Surprise, surprise. And it was just looking for a guitar player, and I thought, well, okay, I'm interested. I think you did post like a link to some demos or something like that. So I listened to a couple of songs. I'm like, yeah, okay, this is interesting. I can play that. So I called Michael. We ended up doing like a test rehearsal, and this is all like 2 years ago,
At least. Yeah.
Oh no, it was pre-Christmas time.
Yeah, it was.
So not 2019. Yeah, so roughly 2 years ago basically.
Yeah.
And maybe a bit earlier, maybe it was October or something. And so I ended up doing like one rehearsal.
Actually, no, sorry,
Yeah.
it was earlier than that.
Was it?
Because we actually had someone else, and he was in the band for
Rich.
No. We had a guy called Frank. He was in the band for a short while, but it didn't work out. And so then remember we called you again and said, "Are you still interested?"
So first time I think it was like October, and then so we had a rehearsal. I thought it worked fine, but they ended up doing going with another guy, and then I don't know, a couple of weeks or a few weeks later, Michael contacted me again, and he goes like, "Well, if you're still interested, that other guy didn't work out. Do you wanna, come again?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And that was pretty much it. And we just started
Playing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he had his first gig with us within a month.
Yeah,
it was fast. It all happened really
very
fast.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And with regards to Alex, we're almost neighbours. So he lives 3 streets up. So I saw him walking home one day carrying a bass. I happened to be a bass player, and we got chatting, and he happened to like the kind of music that I like. And over time, one thing led to another, and now he's sitting here.
I guess that's the good thing about musicians, isn't it? It's a bit hard to hide your music equipment, so you could easily go, "Ooh,
yeah,
we might have something in common here." So it's a great conversation. Oh, okay, and you live nearby. Super handy.
So that's how us three met.
Yeah, beautiful.
Been going this lineup for the last 2 years. Yeah,
something like that.
Excellent. All right.
And you were in a band previously, weren't you, Alex? I vaguely remember.
Yeah, they had a bit of an abrupt breakup. So I was at a point where I kind of needed a new punk and metal band.
Yeah.
I had a couple other groups going at that point. They weren't really punk or metal related, so I felt a bit out of my element. So in the meantime, but Michael and Michael had helped that previous band kind of get our feet off the ground a bit. So I felt I owed it to him to support Forklift at every opportunity. And I think around late March last year, I was asked to fill in at one point. That was just before we had the very first lockdowns here. And then I heard the previous bass player Shane had to leave because he had to consider his family a priority, and I was asked to join from there. And Forklift's really been the best thing to have ever happened to me, really. Yeah.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
And a 3-piece. You don't find many 3-piece bands around Australia or the world really at the moment. Like there's a few, but back in the 90s you had like Nirvana, you had there was a whole heap of them. I'm trying to think of other bands off the top of my head, but now there's only a handful of bands I can think of well known that have 3 members.
I think, Sam, in you'll find a lot of 3-pieces in sort of local punk scene.
I hate people.
These guys,
Mongrel.
These guys, can you see it? Fans called I Hate People. And even sort of locally around Melbourne, you'll find in the sort of punk scene, there's actually quite a few 3-piece bands running around. It's a relatively common thing. Probably don't see it in some of the scenes that you also like. You know, some of the more metal stuff.
Yeah.
But
Wolfpack, Mongrel.
Yeah, there's a couple, but there's not many. Yeah.
Wolfman. Why not? So I think the most probably unusual thing for this band is that you would expect in a three-piece band that the singer is actually like guitar player, maybe a bass player, but most likely guitar player. You know, you mentioned Nirvana before and all those bands. Yet we have a drummer on the as a lead vocal. So yeah, I think that's the unusual bit. So, but being a 3-piece, I mean, it doesn't feel like we're missing anything in the context of the sound. Like sometimes you think, at least I'm thinking, well, it would be nice to have another guitar, just because I can't play 2 things at the same time. Really? Well, I tried. So that's you would get a bit more fullness, I think, in the sound, which you can obviously appreciate once you start recording and overdubbing guitars in particular. Then you go, yeah, this is full on, but I don't think it really we really miss anything on the stage.
I must admit, for Sanyan, it's a big job because he has to fill in a lot of the space. You know, he has to play all the rhythm parts, the rhythm guitar parts. Then he's got the leads to work on top of that. What do you do if you're playing the lead part? You can't play the rhythm part, but you still need the sound to sound full. So the lead parts are designed in such a way that they still have a lot behind them. He can't just go into a high note shred solo, because then what happens, the sound just sort of falls away. So he has to play that role a little bit, which is quite challenging as well. And then there's Alex. He fills that space with the bass as well. So he's got it overdriven, and he's got it, he's pushing the shit out of it to make it loud, to keep the volume for when we go into other elements of the song that may not be necessarily the rhythm guitar sections. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you just got me thinking. I guess if there's more people, it would be easier to get away with making a mistake because there'd be more people to cover up. Whereas, like you said, you don't make mistakes, of course not. But I'm just thinking, yeah, the more different sounds you've got. Whereas, like you said, with your unique 3 of you, if just, I don't know, go into your
absolutely
and lose the track for a second. There's nowhere to hide, basically.
No, there's not.
Yeah,
that's one of the beauties of doing it this way. There's nowhere to hide. If you stuff up, you just have to look. You just smile, have a laugh, and just keep going.
Oh, 100%.
Because chances are, no one except everyone else in the band has noticed it.
Exactly, and that's a big point. Like most of the time, and you're gonna notice any mistake of probably yourself, number one. Like your mistakes are always the most obvious ones, well, at least to you, But then but people just don't notice that stuff. Like, I mean, normal, audience.
Oh, 100%. So just push through.
Unless it's something like really huge, which doesn't really happen. Like, as a band, we rehearsed enough to be able to play, good, let's say.
Okay.
But yeah, no, the mistakes, definitely do happen. But it's really hard to notice them to any outsider, audience, normal people. Normal
folks. Yeah, no, definitely.
As a whole band, if you had to quarantine for 2 weeks and could only listen to one album, what would it be? And you have to all select one and then narrow it down to one, if possible.
Well, you might all select the same.
That's easy. Alex, what's your turn?
No Remorse from Motorhead.
Okay, interesting. I'd probably go with the first album of Slash, the one where he had multiple singers, and like they will say 15 songs on the album, and
what was it called?
everybody from Lemmy from Motorhead to lots of different singers just doing a song for it. I think it was just called Slash.
Slash's Snake.
Slash's Snake.
No, that was before. This is like Slash.
I know. I've got that album. I don't know.
It's got like Andrew Stockdale from
Yes,
Wolfman.
Andrew Stockdale,
Yeah.
Lemmy from Motorhead. What's his name? The guy from Cult.
Ian
Ian Astbury.
Yeah.
Then well, Miles. He continued
was
obviously
in two.
working with him. He actually sang two songs.
Yeah.
There's so many good singers, and I like it because it's such a variety. Because he really wrote a song for each of these singers. Because when you listen to these songs, they're all stylistically different, yet they all have the Slash's kind of stamp. But you can tell I really like Slash. Like you have to have a guitar idol when you play guitar, right? And my idol is not Steve Vai or Satriani. I like Slash, and a couple of other guys as well. But that's so that would be an interesting album, just because if you need to listen to it on repeat, then at least there's a bit of differences, different styles and stuff going on.
So they didn't do cover songs. He actually
No.
They
He wrote
music.
Yeah, they all did like original songs.
Oh, beautiful.
But just stylistically, definitely different songs. Yeah.
So it's similar. Have you heard of Probot?
No.
So it's similar to. Have you guys heard of Probot?
I've heard the name. I haven't heard much of their stuff though.
Well, no, because Probot was a one album deal. It was his name's just slipped my mind. Foo Fighters do. Dave Grohl. Jesus Christ. So Dave Grohl did an album exactly the same. He had different singers come in. I think there's like 12 songs. He wrote all the songs. He had the singers come in and write their parts and sing their parts, and in the style of their band. So, for example, he had Max Cavalera from Sepultura. He had Lemmy. He had The Void. He had Ice Earth. All these different bands, all lead singers from all these different bands, and he wrote the songs in the style of that band, and then they sang their song basically.
Yeah.
And it's quite amazing.
It's the same principle. Because I'm pretty sure that these guys wrote the lyrics. Slash wrote
he wrote the music. Then he gave them the music, said, "Here, write the lyrics and sing the songs."
Yeah.
And they went away, sang them, then they recorded it, put it all together.
Yeah.
It's actually really clever. And if you listen to I've only listened to that song a couple of times, that album a couple of times. I don't really know it, but the Probot album I've listened to a lot, and every single song sounds like it could have been that band's song.
Yeah, exactly.
The song with Lemmy literally sounds like Motorhead, literally. And the song with, the guy from King Diamond, it literally sounds like a King Diamond song. But then those two songs are completely different, but they were both written by Grohl. It's just, and he played all the instruments except for a few little discrete spots. So that's interesting. That's an interesting.
I haven't actually heard that one, but it's definitely the same concept.
Yeah, you thought that through. That's a good idea.
Stuck with.
Either way we look at these three albums, Lemmy's going to be involved with one of them. Really? So.
Not my choice.
No.
I thought he was on.
Well, I couldn't decide between two.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm indecisive. One was No Remorse.
Yeah.
Which is what Alex said.
Okay.
But the other one was Turbo Negro, Apocalypse Dudes, which I consider to be probably the greatest rock album ever written. It's the only album I've ever sort of experienced where there is not a single dud note nor a single superfluous note in the entirety of the album. 40, 45 minutes of pure genius. And I still remember the first time I heard this album, and I swear I think that's all I listened to for a year because it was just amazing, you know. And that was, you know, at least 20 years ago, and I still go back to it every now and then, and I just remember, wow, man, how good were they? How fucking good were they? So, yeah, which one do we pick?
Oh, that's easy.
Well,
flip a coin, 50-50. I don't know.
You know what? I think in this particular case, I'm gonna let Sandian have it because I actually think that's a very good idea. The whole idea of having that much variety. If you're stuck listening to only one album for however long, to have that amount of variety is a really smart move.
And legends pretty much of music when you think of Lemmy, Chris Cornell.
Cornell, he did one song as well. The guy from Avenged Sevenfold, I don't know his name.
M Shadows, I think.
Yeah. Alex knows everything.
Yeah, Alex.
We just asked Alex.
I might have competition here, Rach. Alex knows more than me.
Maybe you and Alex could have a music quiz off because Sam knows everything as well.
Sounds really good.
That's a great idea, Rach. We should set that up.
Set that up, absolutely. Sam is like the encyclopedia. He can tell you Triple J's hottest.
Hang on. Yeah.
Encyclopedia versus encyclopedia. Fuck me.
I reckon if Alex and me were on the same quiz team, the other teams would just forfeit if it was music questions.
You'd be a force.
You would walk in the room together, everyone would just walk out.
I wouldn't take you on, Sam, that's for sure. And usually I say to Sam, oh, that band's from Canada, and you'll go, no, Rach. So it's like, okay, moving right along. But yeah, I'm going to check out that album, I reckon, Sanyan. That sounds pretty interesting. I might have heard of it somewhere in the past, but yeah, very nice.
It's not probably 10 years old.
I reckon it's older than that.
At least 10.
Yeah, at least 10 years old.
Yeah.
I
think it's just title Flash. Simple as that.
I was going to say, I'll consult my dear friend Spotify and see how I go.
Good old Spotify. At least it's right all the time, unlike Wikipedia.
Yeah, Wikipedia, Sam.
Well, they said Muse, one of their albums, track 8 was Hysteria. I bought the album, it was track 5.
Oh.
Bastards.
Exactly.
We should sue them.
Who do we call?
Maybe I'll write a song about them like Scotty from marketing, you know?
Well, maybe. Speaking of which, though, did you guys know that apparently today is 2 years since Scotty went off to Hawaii while Australia was on fire?
Is that?
It's 2-year anniversary today.
Oh my goodness!
Today apparently is Wear Your Hawaiian Shirt Day in celebration of Scotty having off to Hawaii.
Oh, I love that! I'll have to get a Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah, I don't have one, so.
No. Oh, that's gold. Yeah, right. 2 years.
It would be 2 years because COVID has pretty much dominated 2020 to now, and the bushfires had only finished just before COVID. first concert or memorable you attended? Sorry, that was my bad.
So for me, my first one was Run DMC.
Oh.
That was the first concert I ever went to, and I even remember I must have been 14, 15 maybe, and a mate and I were going. His old man was taking us down there. We're driving through the city, and there's a taxi cab in front of us, and the band is in the cab in front of us with their hats on and everything, and they happened to turn around and saw my mate and I sitting in the back seat of this car going, whoa! Absolutely wetting our pants in excitement. The guys just looking at us going, oh my God. I still remember that as if it was yesterday. It was one of the most exciting moments of my entire life.
That's pretty cool to spot the band in a taxi.
Yeah, never happened since, of course. But certainly for a 14-year-old kid going to his first concert, as if that wasn't enough, you get to see your idols sitting there in a taxi in front of you.
Oh, yeah.
And the whole way to Festival Hall, we just followed them.
Follow that cab.
Follow that cab, absolutely.
No, that's awesome. Oh, yeah, any 14-year-old would be pretty stoked to see their band singing in front of, that's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
All right, you two, it's going to be hard to top that one.
Go on.
Yeah, hard to top that one. I can't remember the first one, to be quite honest, but one that I do remember as a kid back in the 90s was actually Motorhead in my hometown, Sarajevo in Bosnia and Herzegovina. So maybe 91, I think it was 1991 or 1990. So that was something completely different, I guess, at the time. I wasn't really listening to them back then. It was more like, oh, okay, there's a band in town, so you must go and see this. And it was great. Yeah.
Well, you chose
very loud. Very loud. That's what I remember. Very loud.
I saw Motorhead play with Motley Crue at, what's it called now? Rod Laver?
Telstra, was it Telstra Dome?
Nah, I can't remember what it's called. This is fucking 20 odd years ago. And yeah, mind-blowingly loud. They were incredible. Absolutely incredible. Motorhead.
Wow, yeah, that's pretty cool. Alex?
Two of my most memorable ones would be Black Sabbath's Farewell at Rod Laver Arena. And Living Colour were here in at 170 Russell in late 2018.
Wow, they both would have been pretty awesome.
I think the one that stands out to me the most emotion-wise and also how big it was a band by the name of Architects, who Rach probably doesn't know who are. They're a metal band from the UK.
Thanks. No, I don't.
They did Unify a couple of years ago, and it was after their guitarist, I think Tom Cial, passed away, and the whole crowd knelt down on their last song because the last song was written about Tom Cial, and it was just mind-blowing. You just had to be there.
Right.
Yeah, that would have been
and I think Soundgarden stand out as well, because I saw Chris Cornell only a couple of years before sadly passing away. If you could narrow it down, best release of 2021.
You go.
Yeah, that's very personal, I guess. Because I mean, just thinking about the different influences, and even thinking about this band, like I think we have sort of different tastes. There's definitely an overlap, so we do like similar things, but then also something completely different. So there's been so many releases. For me personally, one that I would probably say stands out. It's just because it's an interesting album, and it's actually a Finnish band called Korpiklani. And the album is called, I can't pronounce it but because it's in Finnish, it means like something great, something very beautiful, or something like that. But anyways, what I liked about the album is that musically is very mature. It's like they are originally folk metal band, but this album has a bit of thrash. It has a bit of everything, power metal, and so it's a metal, album, I guess, in the end. But also, there's a great cover of a cover. There's a great cover song, which Anthrax covered back in the 90s, right? Originally, I can't remember Joe Jackson, the British punk guy, and the song is called
Got the Time.
Got the Time.
Ah, yes.
In my head.
But the Finnish band actually did that in Finnish. So another song we're not going to tell you the name of.
It's called Ennen. E-N-N-E-N.
Great.
Their version is E-N-N-E-N.
It's called
Look it
Ennen.
up. It's absolutely amazing.
But it's got like folk elements, because you would think, how can you make Anthrax Got the Time more metal than, as a cover, and yet it was done. It's been done again. So yeah, it's a great cover. But the whole album, I thought it was just a very interesting album. Yeah. But most of the songs are in English though.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Most of the songs on that album, but there's a few in English.
Yeah, right.
There you go.
I'll check it out. I love a cover of a cover. Who doesn't love a cover of a cover?
That's now. Yeah, cover of a
cover. Unless we do a cover.
And then
that
cover of a cover of a cover.
Or a cover.
That's getting complicated.
Yeah, it is. We should have.
And Roach.
Funny Anthrax story, and Rach is probably going to kill me with this. So a mate's band was playing in Frankston, and they're called Atriox. And Rach actually thought Anthrax were playing at the Young Street Supper Club. And then I had to tell Rach, no, it's Atriox.
I'm going around saying I'm seeing Anthrax in Frankston.
Oh, no.
And Sam's like, what?
For free, Rach? I think it'd be sold out if it was free at Anthrax.
You let me say it a fair bit before you corrected me and went, actually. So yeah, Sam was quite fond of that little story.
Oh no.
Well, Anthrax, Atriox.
They've been around for 40 years, Rach. Atriox have been around for 4 years. I think there's a bit of a difference.
You're the musical genius in the family. All right, guys, we'll have an excellent evening. Thank you for coming on, and thank you for being all together. It was nice to not have different screens. So it was good to see you all in one place together, which was lovely.
All good. Thank you for having us.
Thanks so much, guys.
All right.
Good night.
Same to you. See ya.
Ta-da.